why should you want debt over equity, or why should you want equity over debt per time. We just wanted to kind of like understand maybe from your perspective.
The first thing we consider is how much we need and why we need it. Very important things that we would need to ask ourselves. How much? There's different ways to figure that out, whether it's through our financial modeling, some needs that already exist that are pretty straightforward, but we need to know how much we need. And then secondly, what we need it for, of course. Then when we have the answers to those two questions, one of the next important things we must know is what type of capital we're looking for as well. And so sometimes, in some cases, it's better for us to have equity. In other cases, it's better for us to have debt. In other cases, it's better for us to have a mix of the two, a blend. So I would say those would be like the driving initial questions that we would be looking at, at least in the very beginning.
From your perspective, what are some of the most applicable things to use either of the two approaches for?
Different businesses, it was different needs. But for us, I think fundamentally how we look at equity, let's start with equity, is as a result of growth and expansion that we need. Typically, it costs money, and you don't start making money off the jump, so you need to have that planned and so on, right? So that we need the equity, and that's how we look at it. The equities also gets to be expensive in terms of an entrepreneur point of view. You're obviously giving out shareholding and so on and so forth. But on the debt side, what the debt side enables you, so you're able to utilize public capital to grow your business as well. So it's non-dilutive, and we use it for things that typically require a big investment as well. So like whether it's onward lending, maybe it's some capex related activities that we need to do. So that's when we look at lending. And now more so, because our business is a bit more established, we're able to not take equity and take debt to do certain things. For example, when we were starting out, we could not necessarily take debt to fuel certain types of expansion, while now we can, because we have enough revenue and liquidity to cover our costs as well as our payments to our lenders. As we've gotten more mature in our business, we've been able to have like a more diversified cost and cap table, and be able to utilize debt for more things as well, and open up our uses of capital.
So definitely, depending on our business needs per time, there is purpose for either debt or equity financing. But obviously, entrepreneurs stay away from equity per time because they don't want to dilute their ownership, right? Their ownership to be able to also make decisions, right? Rather than running it through, let's say, some sort of like shareholder perspective. So the question is, how really important is it to hold on to as much equity as possible, right? Because we definitely know that 100% of zero is zero.
Yeah, I think as you said, 100% of zero is zero, and sometimes with that zero, you're not able to move out of it if you can't just access capital, right? And I would say that in some cases, it's very important for us to raise equity to get our feet off the ground, and also to be able to even access debt. Without any equity, there's no other capital that you can really get started on. Yeah, so you need equity to sell, you need equity to live, and going through dilution might help you get there. I think it gets to a point where having skin in the game is important for the entrepreneur. Along the road, obviously, running the business is difficult, and you need skin in the game, and must have a very big upside where the debt can come into play. That's where you still needed some equity anyway to be able to get that. But I think that's where now the having skin in the game comes into play, and you can't avoid dilution entirely. That's probably not the best way to look at it. For me, I would look at it as, what is the best capital you can take at this point? If you can avoid it, great. But if you have to do it, then you have to do it. And of course, that's why understanding how much you need and why you need it is important in order to make that decision in terms of is it smarter for the business for me to take dilution or for me not to. That's how we look at it here at Bicolator.